I've never particularly been asked to do transformations, but you know, you just get it in your head, and you just go, I need to. That's what I need to do.
For about 3 months, we trained in Boston, and it was a couple hours a day, and it was brutal. The tricky part was eating.
You have to eat lots?
Just eating everything all the time.
Oh, that sounds awful.
See, you think it sounds nice, but it's not just like cheeseburgers. I mean, you have to eat like these just bland, naked pieces of chicken and rice, and it's not that appetizing.
Right.
And you're just so full. It's a pretty uncomfortable feeling.
Eating is the key. 70% is eating. It's about 4,000 calories a day. Maybe 4.5 as I'm bulking up, and then it drops down as I'm leaning up. It drops down to about 3,500 calories. Not the fun calories. This is the chicken, fish, maybe steak. Always protein 6 times a day. Protein, steamed vegetables, and occasionally some brown rice or something like that. Protein shakes, and just like that. No alcohol, no sugar. Pretty much nothing that's fun.
Okay, did you start to psychologically lose it?
What you eat is what you is.
Believe it or not, the hardest part was physically eating that amount of food. I had to put on about 17 pounds. It was crazy. I mean, aside from the training, which was literally, it consumed my life for a while. Very intense, a lot of heavy lifting. I won't get into that, that's boring. The hardest part was eating, you know? You just have to eat a ton of calories. And it was all hard calories. It was a lot of chicken breast. I was eating so much chicken breast that the hardest part about it was actually chewing it all. So I would just put it into a blender, blend it all up, and just drink chicken. Isn't that gross?
What's your diet like? You said you're eating chicken, but what specifically, like if you get up at 3 in the morning, what are you eating?
Egg whites, Ezekiel bread, almond butter, and then I'll work out. Then I'll have yogurt and Greek yogurt and a shake, and then I'll have a chicken cooking. Then I'll eat a rotisserie chicken. Then I'll eat turkey burgers. Then I'll eat a fish. I eat probably 7 or 8 meals a day, every 2.5 hours.
Because when you go on the diet as Superman, what does Superman eat?
He eats a lot of things.
Well, name one.
I mean, okay, it depends. If I'm mass building, then I'll eat burgers and stuff.
Mass building.
Yeah.
See, that's
If
where
I'm doing
we're
my mass
different.
game.
We're different people. Yeah, this is fantastic. Mass building. That's what they call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to get your arms bigger. So
Yeah, exactly.
Your chest. Yeah. That's cool.
But then when you...
Transforming yourself is really not hard. It's just it requires consistency and dedication, and you have to be willing to sacrifice the things that you want. You have to trade things that are fun, like alcohol consumption, meals at restaurants, things like that, for long, arduous periods of time exercising and physically exhausting and grueling work. It's, anyone is, I was capable of doing it. I think anybody could do it if they wanted to. But unless you had to, I don't see why you would want to.
Your fans are saying Chris Pratt eats no fat. Is that true?
No, I eat plenty of fat.
Yes.
Chris Pratt eats no sugar. That is more true.
Gave me a cheat day, but it was on a Sunday, and we shot the movie in London, and we were at the gym and lifting weights, and I guess he just saw that my will to live was fading. And it's been 5 months of broccoli, chicken breast, and that kind of stuff. And he was like, Alex, let me take you to lunch. Put down the weights. Let's go. And he took me to this Italian restaurant and sat me down and said, what do you want? And I was like, what do you mean? What, like chicken breast or salmon? He's like, no, whatever you want on the menu, order. So I got to eat pizza, pasta, tiramisu.
Wow.
I get emotional just talking about it.
I'm someone who likes routine and discipline, weirdly.
I train by myself, actually,
Wow,
and
okay.
that's not a pride thing. I just prefer it. I just like it more. I worked with a trainer named Don Saladino in New York who gave me a plan, and then I just do that plan on my own.
And then the diet?
Yeah, I do that. I've done it enough that I know how to do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
The workout was probably more difficult than the actual filming. It was my body doesn't sit naturally at that weight, so it was consuming many calories and protein, being the main one, and working out 6-7 days.
What do you do for cardio? No cardio.
No, I run. That's the savory answer.
Yeah. So what is the real answer?
I think they get it.
Oh.
I think it's a very long, complicated process with a lot of knowledge required to achieve the thing. That's why we have our trainers who do all that and just tell us what to do and tell us what to eat. I would say, as far as a tip of the person who's being trained, is when it starts to hurt badly and you want to quit, that's really when you shouldn't quit.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, it's just about, the discipline of continuing to do something that you don't want to do and forcing yourself to show up and keep exercising. I mean, it's kind of that simple, it's not pleasant. It's, you feel like you don't want to do it anymore, and that's when you have to keep going.
I wake up at 3, I go down to the kitchen, I make egg whites, Ezekiel bread, almond butter with a little avocado.
Every morning?
Every morning. I go downstairs, I work out for about an hour with my buddy Jonathan. I come up, I have a shake, and then I make a salad and my food to go for the morning. And then I have turkey burgers and sweet potato. And then I go to the golf course at 6 o'clock. I play till 8 o'clock. Then I rush home to meet my wife after she drops off the kids. We have our little alone time. And then I do whatever else I gotta do.
Wow.
And then I'm in bed by 7 and my wife thinks I'm an old, boring...
So you go to, my question was, what time do you go to bed if you get up at 3? You go to bed at 7 every night?
I gotta get 8 hours, yes.
So every day you eat that cleanly?
Yes.
And that's what so you don't have a chef, you do all your cooking yourself?
We have somebody cooks during the week for the kids, and they'll make me a little piece of fish or something at night, but he makes dinner.
Wow, you were really disciplined.
And also, I had to eat like a ton of food, so there were these pre-packaged meals from this company called Zen Foods out of LA, and they just put like 6,000 calories into containers and would just feed it to me all day.
Did you say 6,000 calories?
Up to 6,000 calories a day.
A day?
I remember the first day, I was in pretty good shape when I came into this movie. I was skinnier, but I was in good shape.
Right.
And I thought, I know what I'm doing here. He wanted to make sure that I left my ego at the door. So one of our first days of training, he was like, all right, 200 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and you're done. And then he just walked out. And I was left there to do 200 pull-ups.
How can you feel like $1 million when you're in shape, when you're always exhausted? Like, when you're always working out, you never feel what it's like to be, fully strong. I just always feel like, whoa, God, my chest feels like somebody drove a truck over it, so what's the point? I don't know.
Now, for the stunt work, you have to be in top shape. And you are looking fine in this film.
Thank you.
So what do you do to stay in shape?
I work out pretty much every day. I've tried to change the routine. I'm always looking for new bodybuilding routines, and I have. So now I've got it down to like an hour a day, 5 times a week, but mostly it's all diet. What you eat is what you is.
So I take it you're not ordering pizzas for room service?
How'd you know? But you are, right? I caught you already. I knew it. Now, if you eat great, really great, Monday to Friday, from Saturday to Sunday, you can turn into the biggest hog in the universe, and you won't gain an ounce, and you get it all out of your system. So all you have to do is be good for like 4.5 days during the week.
I really wanted to look the part. I was just like 10 meals a day plus the weight gainer and all this stuff. It was fun for like 2 weeks because the first movie I did, I had to really kind of get thin. But after that, it was like, I know more.
So wait a minute. So what was the one food that you got totally tired of eating?
Chicken. Chicken. Loads of chicken. Pounds and pounds. I would eat at least 2 rotisserie chickens a day myself.
This is obviously you with your shirt off. Now, how long, again, I don't know what you looked like beforehand, but like how long did it take to be that?
To get to that stage,
Yeah.
it took 5 months of pre-production training, and that was about 4 months into shooting. Yeah, so 9 months.
For Wolverine, did you do 3 hours a day?
3.
3 hours a day.
So 2 hours in the morning and about 45 minutes in the afternoon.
Okay, and what were you eating?
It's very time-consuming.
What do you? Is this where you get to eat everything? You have to eat 6,000 calories a day?
Yes.
I read that in Hollywood Reporter.
This is I literally rang Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I said, man, I've seen you in some movies. I said, what's going on? What do I do? And he went through the diet, and it was 6,000 calories, eating every 2 hours,
But
which
you're not
basically,
like eating this,
unfortunately,
right?
no.
No, you're not eating that.
It'd be easy to get 6,000 of these.
Yes, yeah.
That's 1 nachos and a pizza, but no, it's a meal would look like 2 chicken breasts, steamed broccoli,
So it's still
beans,
lean
and
stuff.
maybe some carbs.
A lot of training. It was a few months, and I'm used to doing it now. But
Yeah.
there is that element at the beginning where you actually do have to put down the Cheetos and the cheeseburgers, and you go, oh, here we go. But it's great. I don't know what kind of shape I would be in if I wasn't an actor, because I put these things in front of me, and whether it's learning to surf or learning to fight or getting your body in trim, it's a great thing to dangle in front of you.
Yeah, it is. But then, like, once the shoot is over, do you slack off and
Crash.
just terrible?
The worst. And every time I say, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to stay fit, I'm going to stay trim, and it normally within 2 or 3 weeks.
But if somebody asked you to spot them,
It's really easy. So, hey, dude, can you come and spot me? The answer is very easy, and it's great gym etiquette. You could be comfortable with telling them, say, no, go fuck yourself.
I will remember that. The next.
Do you try and gain a little weight between films?
I try to do it, believe it or not, I overdo it on the weekends. During the week, it's almost all protein, and by the Friday night, I'm ravenous. And then I'll bulk up, and then by Monday, I'm back on the regime. That way, my body at least is appeased a little bit. But never bulk up full. I did it once in fist, and I've never had a more difficult time in my life. Oof.
Taking it off.
Oh, boy.
How many calories a day are you taking?
Sometimes I'll be down to 1,100. Yeah, I'll be down to 1,100, and then on the weekend, I could be up to like 9,000. I mean, we're talking tons of French toast. We're talking about peanut butter in my hair. You know, it's like, yeah. There you go.
The very first movie, I had no idea. I was basically a skinny guy. I was doing Oklahoma here in London. I got the part. I went, and I had 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, cool, 3 weeks. I'll be able to turn into Wolverine. Literally, they had to shoot. If you watch X-Men 1, the very first scene I shot is me coming down in the mansion downstairs, down that blue hallway, running down with my shirt off, and they had to shoot around me because it's just really not good. And so they shot the very first scene at the very end 4 months later because it took me that long. Yeah. So for this one, I rang Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and I had to do Les Mis, and I lost some weight for that, and I said, what do I have to do? And he said, you got to have minimum 6 months. And I really had some time before Les Mis, so I started the training probably a year out. But so I eat 6,000 calories a day. I train for about 3 hours a day in the gym.
Every day.
I train every day, but I don't do weights every day. I do weights like 5 days a week.
Right, so it's not just free weights. You'll do machine workouts as well, do you?
No, pretty much free weights.
Free weights are the way.
Yeah, the free weights are much better to stay injury free.
Right.
Yeah.
I seem to get injuries more when I'm on the machines, but you know, the key things are like deadlifts and squats and, you know, obviously bench press and one-arm rows, military press, things like that.
Wow.
You're on like some crazy diet right now, I heard, because of this movie that you're shooting.
A couple of small salads, a couple of small pieces of protein, and that's kind of it. And you go to bed hungry, and then you have a fasting period of like 15 hours. Like you stop eating completely, and then you have little meals through the day.
You should be skinny for the next Thor movie, like a really scrawny and starved Thor.
I should, you know, a character piece, wouldn't it?
Hey, speaking
he'd
of
be depressed, and you know.
Talk about two very important co-stars. Your biceps. They make they make an appearance. What is?
All right, that was good. That was funny. That was good.
Every time you're about to shoot, are you just like pumping before you roll?
That day we were. You know, I'm not going to pretend I wasn't. The day we did the helicopter thing. You know, you're in a t-shirt. You know, you want to look good. I'm not going to try and pretend that I just walk around like that. Yeah, you prepare.
Is there a lot of pressure to keep up?
Yeah. The answer is yes. Yes. Yeah, you want to make sure you look the role, and you want to make sure that, you know, it's tough reading those comic books because in the comic books he's like 6'4", 240 or something. He's a huge animal. I'm nowhere near that, so you know you want to make sure that you do your best to at least get close to the idea that some of these comic book fans have in their head.
You look really good.
I put 40 back on after that.
Yeah. 40 back on, really? You look
40 back on.
good. So that's back to normal then.
No,
'cause
I've
you
got
lost-
another about 8 to go. Did it as healthy a way as possible. I mean, I met with 2 nutritionists first, so I found out how I could lose 3.5 pounds a week. So I gave myself whatever that is, 3-4 months. And I ate meals. I just ate small meals.
Like what? What did you eat?
5 ounces of fish, a couple of vegetables, a little something else 3 times a day, and I also had my red wine at night. I started off exercising really hard, you know, going for 2-hour runs, burning lots of calories, and then I injured my ankle, so I couldn't do it for about 10 days. But I stayed on the diet, and I lost just as much weight, and I said, well, forget that, I'm not exercising anymore.
The workout was a lot of work. I had a great trainer, a guy named Walter Norton, and he, you know, it was about showing up every day, really. That's the thing. And sometimes I had to do it like, you know, early in the mornings or whatever, you know, before, because I was working on another movie. I was doing Gone Girl before I did this, and so I'd be shooting that movie and then have to work out and, you know, get ready in the mornings before Gone Girl. So it's just about like getting out of bed in the morning, being willing to do it even when you hate it, you know. And I would have totally given up if I didn't know that, you know, I had to be on camera, so I couldn't cheat. I had to like get up there and do it. Otherwise, you know, it would be, you know, you got to be. Audiences expect you to look like a superhero now.
You know, obviously, you want to look
you know,
Pump the
I
guns.
want to look big. So every time they yelled cut, I'd run off set, and they brought some weights on the set for me. So every time we had a break in filming, I would run off and just start lifting weights. But as a result, you know, you're working out pretty much the entire day for multiple days. So by the end of the sequence, I was exhausted.
I think the number one thing that a lot of people, for whatever reason, become adverse to, carbs are your friend. I like the way you think. Come on. Carbs are good carbs.
It was torture. I'm not in shape. You know what I mean? I'm not even in good shape, and I hate to exercise. But I knew that if I didn't get it together, the movie wouldn't work. I wouldn't seem tough or intimidating or like a professional athlete or a guy who was a drug addict and had taken all that energy and you know, put it into working out. So, you know, and to me it started to become a measure of like, how hard am I working on this movie? How much am I willing to give? And it was an external manifestation of that. So I worked out like crazy. I'm actually okay. At first I was really, like, you know, I felt like throwing up every time, and I felt incredibly lazy, and I hated doing it. But like anything, the beginning of it's the hardest. Like the first day is the hardest, second day is the second hardest, and once you get going, it actually established for me like a kind of a discipline where if I did that, if I worked out, and I would tend to, you know, get other stuff accomplished like that I needed to get done, and so it helped me focus for the movie.
I ended up training twice a day because I had 5 months, and I thought, how do I expand 5 months into longer? You train twice a day, then it's 10 months, you know, and then that's 10 months of learning in 5 months. And so I just trained and trained and trained. And obviously, in order to learn more, once you start to learn more, you need your body to be in a place where you can continue to do it.
It's an all-year thing. I probably spent 18 months doing it, really. And we wrapped the film. And I went straight back into training. Deb's like, you're obsessed. You finished the film. I said, yeah, but I might need to do it again, Deb. She goes, no, you're obsessed. I finally had to give up that idea that you can do it all in an hour and a quarter a day. You can't. So eating is the key. 70% is eating. That's a good way to do it. But for me, I just lose too much size doing CrossFit. So I do 2 hours in the morning, an hour of cardio, hour of weights, and then I do a weights cardio mix in the afternoon. More like a CrossFit in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But I have to do some heavy weights. And all the things you don't want to do. Like the rowing machine, like the front squats, like the deadlifting, all that stuff.
What was your diet like to get into the shape that you got in for Batman?
It was like a lot of protein and not a lot of carbs, but just, you know, eating like 4 or 5 times a day. And you know, you have to keep your calories up to build muscle. That was the hardest part. You just get sick of food and you don't want to eat any more like orange roughy, you know, or white fish or chicken, and but you have to sort of keep a steady diet of that, and then just lifting weights, you know, for a couple hours a day, and gets old. It gets old.
Like literally, you know, brown rice, grilled chicken, broccoli, a gallon and a half of water a day, and working out 2 to 3 times a day, 6 days a week for about 1.5 years. And then your body will change.
Wow.
It will definitely change.
4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, have my caffeine.
4 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock in the morning. Then by 4:30, 4:45, I'm doing some sort of cardio. I do this, and then I'll have breakfast, and then I will go do all my strength and conditioning training at a gym for about an hour, and then I'll go to set. Between cardio, strength, and resistance training, stretching, maybe about an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad, but it's not all at one shot. Well, I think the structure of the diet all starts with whatever the goal is. The diet is structured, and it's probably somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 calories a day. That's very balanced of carbohydrates and fats and proteins and greens and things like that.
But when you're on the set 12, 14 plus hours a day, how are you able to then sleep and then also make time for the gym?
This is what happens.
Okay.
You get yourself as big as you can, and then as you're shooting, you slowly get smaller. It's just what happens. Throughout the movie, you just slowly lose your mass. So you need to come to set as big as you can possibly get yourself in anticipation of exhaustion.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think after 8 weeks, and I could have got in pretty good shape, but after 7 months, that's how you get like I did eventually, because you just keep stepping over little barriers where you think, okay, I would honestly think, right, I can't get this. This is great, and then the next minute you'd be like, oh wow, I've surpassed that, and then you're enjoying it because you know I'll never be like this again. So you think, well, how much more can I push it? And that was the spark, the element. It was the mind conditioning as well.
training for me has become very defining. It's become part of my lifestyle. It's defined me in many ways. When I was 14 years old, I started training, and I thought to myself, I want to be successful, and the way I know how to be successful, I think, are the men I admire. And those men in my life were pro wrestlers who were my uncles and my dad, and then they were also Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone.
Who were your favorite wrestlers when you were a kid?
My dad, Rocky Johnson, my uncle Jimmy Superfly Snuka, the Wild Samoans.
Snuka was your uncle?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So these men were like big men who always trained and got things done with their hands. So.
Well, basically train for 3 hours a day and eat
a lot of protein.
A lot of food, and I actually got the diet from Dwayne, The Rock Johnson, who's a mate of mine. And every day what I do is I eat for 8 hours and I fast for 16. And so from about 10 in the morning till 6, for this I eat way too much and then nothing after that.
All right, Dwayne, what was your training like for this film? What was your routine?
My routine for this film was training 6 times a week. George Farah and many people who go on bodybuilding.com know who my strength and conditioning coach is. I also have a training coach in Dave Ramsey, and we put together, this was a hell of a prep for a movie like this where it revolves around the world of bodybuilding and the culture of bodybuilding that we love, by the way, that we grew up on. So the prep was a good, 8 to 10 weeks, 6 times a week. Training twice, do my cardio in the morning.
Oh gosh, well once I signed on to doing the movie, I was committed to getting as big as possible. And that just meant going back to doing what I used to do when I was really young, and lifting as heavy as possible, and eating 10 to 12 meals a day. And I drink 2 or 3 mass gainer shakes a day, and my calorie intake was pretty damn high. And my gas was horrible.
He did call me and say, well, how do you look right now? Like, how am I gonna seriously be able to suggest to Warner Brothers that you could play Batman ever if, you're that skinny?
Hey, perfect fit.
He then proceeded to put on a lot of weight in muscle terms and really try and bulk up, because I had impressed upon him the idea that for Bruce Wayne to really fill that suit, he was going to have to be very, very large.
I was just stuffing my face all day long and lifting heavy weights and eating more, and eventually went up to like 220 pounds. I just listened to what he said about get as big as you possibly can, so that's what I did,
That's the problem, is people want to know what the secret is. The secret is you can't do it in a month.
Thank you. I like that.
It takes 8 months, or a year, or a lifetime of consistency, working out every single day, and eating properly, and truly feeding yourself, not starving yourself, but giving yourself proper nutrition to heal. You have to burn off all the crap you've put in your body, and then you have to replace it with really good food and fuel. And it takes a long time. But really, 8 months is not that long. I mean, what were you doing in May, right?
Exactly. That was
ago.
yesterday, right?
And when you're looking back, 8 months goes by really quickly. When you're looking forward, it seems like it's crazy. It's a long prospect. Even 8 hours can be a long time. But it just takes a little bit of consistency, and time is going to go by just as fast whether you're doing it or not. So who do you want to be 8 months from now? You want to be in good shape? Then get on it today.